I'd watch the practice with none of my friends. I'd turn the dial to ABC to see the creep of the week that Bobby Donald defends. But I'm out of practice.
With your hosts, Keith Varney and...
Out of practice.
Mike Indiglio.
Way back in high school, most every night, my mom watched QVC, so I missed the practice. There was no TiVo, what could I do? Wait 15 years, get fat, then stream it on Hulu. Out of practice.
It's the season finale of The Practice. But we're still here.
Out of practice.
Are you sick of looking at our faces? Thank God, it's almost over.
Out of practice.
And welcome to the Out of Practice podcast, a weekly podcast in which I'm Keith Varney, and my buddy, Mike Indiglio over there, we discuss David E. Kelley's award-winning series, The Practice.
We do.
This week, we are up to the season finale of season 7. Can you believe that we are already there? The episode is entitled Goodbye. And, but it's not the end, because there's another season.
So they thought it was the end, right? That's clearly what we're indicating here.
Well, we can definitely discuss.
You mentioned that last week.
Yes. I'm trying to, those who know, I'm trying to figure out what the ethics of how exactly to discuss this, what's happening here. But yes, at this point, David E. Kelley was definitely writing from the perspective that there was a very good chance this would be the final episode of the series. And then I think what I will do is I will discuss it before the premiere of season 8, all the machinations that happened behind the scenes to get us to a season 8. But for now, we're just here. We're gonna have a season finale. It's gonna be called Goodbye, and we're gonna talk about it. How are you doing, Mike?
I'm doing all right, buddy. It's very cold here. That's an important thing to disclose. I think that we can all... The groundhog saw his shadow, so we are in for a long, cold, depressing winter. But that all said, feeling good.
Mike, it's gonna be okay.
Feeling good.
The spring will come out. We're here talking about the season finale. It's exciting. It's The Practice. Come on.
Keith, I had both... I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. I had both Taco Bell and McDonald's yesterday.
Wow. How did you pull that off?
With insane distress to my digestive system. That's how.
Well, we know how it ended. I want to know how you began.
We were like hanging out with my brother and my nieces. They really wanted Taco Bell, so we picked it up. And then last night, Jen and I just decided to DoorDash McDonald's, which I should mention is less than 1/10 of a mile from my house. And I still had a human being go pick it up for me.
Well, obviously, you were pretty drunk at the time, so it was...
You don't know me.
I do know you, Mike. I know you well.
How about you? How are things over in the Varney household?
No, things are okay. We're, doing our winter stuff, hanging out with the cat. Jillian did a reading, and
Nice.
we're doing
Nice,
doing our
Do you have a
stuff.
fireplace, Keith?
I do not have a fireplace. I have an outdoor fire pit sort of a dealie.
Okay.
But I do not. It would be nice to have a fireplace, but I don't
Something
think
about it's very homey.
It is. Well, but our house is one of those like houses they built right after the war, and so we love it. It's very nice, but it doesn't have a lot of frills. It doesn't have a lot of like extra frills. But coming out of a 1-bedroom apartment in Queens, it's pretty frilly, comparatively. But yeah, I'd like to have a fireplace. Would be nice. But,
So I have been sorry, this is me just jumping out of this short convo. I've been sort of dreading this episode particularly.
Oh, do tell. This is interesting.
I just have every indication that I think this is it for Dylan McDermott, and I think maybe not. That's not all. Like I know that we introduce new characters next season. Just because I know that, but I don't know how it happens or what happens. But I just don't imagine that's the only swap, right? I feel like there's a radical shift coming to the show, and so that this is.
And what makes you feel that way?
Just everything sort of we've talked about, like that. The fact that it's been, we've been pretty sour on this season. It feels like, in retrospect, they've been kind of floundering. I think, in some ways, I think David E. Kelley's been just kind of throwing shit against the wall, or just kind of frustrated. There's a frustrated feeling, and I think that if they are to come back next season, which we know they do, some decisions are made to make some changes, and that's not just bringing in Spader, right? So I feel like the practice, at least as we've known it, for better or for worse, is going to change. And so what I thought might be fun before we enter that, the oopsies next week, to discuss quickly, just in the course of us starting in season 1 up until this juncture point, what's changed on our end. So it's funny, I started on a MacBook, my work MacBook Pro, with 4 gigabytes of RAM. We barely could get 30 frames per second. I was using like an old condenser microphone that
we didn't have video at all to begin with.
No, but I still was trying to record through OBS because I could capture all the audio together. No, I was running 2 different capture softwares. It was crazy what I was trying to do. And I had a condenser microphone that was like 12 feet from my face because it was so sensitive. And then I would try to like compress it after the fact. It was a hot mess. And then so now we've got the Ryzen 12-core PC handling the shuttle liftoff, a dynamic microphone, Stream Deck, lots of fun upgrades to our lives. And we both started in New York City in the shithole.
I was going to say, like, all of the changes that you're clocking are technological.
Yeah, there were some other big changes. We both turned 40 through the course of the podcast.
We both turned 40. That's right. We both moved. We were both in Queens, and now we are in different places.
And podcasting has become our full-time job, both of us. We make a great living.
It's amazing. Everything we planned, it's like, I feel like there's a way to make this work and like, have some sort of an income and like make a go at this. And so anyway,
will they, won't they, continues Oki. People wonder, will they, won't they get together? Like, are they going to just break up with their wives and make this thing happen? But
I didn't. That actually wasn't on my list of objectives.
Yeah, me neither.
No, I would never do that. No, it's crazy.
Jen walks in right then.
Amazing. Yeah. No, I mean things are very different. I wrote an entire musical. That
you did? Yeah, the JT.
What? It's not that anymore. We'll talk more about.
Correct. Yeah.
Yes. But I finished the new one.
Ooh.
So I finished the
That's
score.
That's exciting.
Yeah, the whole new score is now done. So
wow. Okay.
So lots.
Are the bones of the story still? Sorry, conversation for a different podcast.
Different podcast, but yes, basically yes.
Cool.
So I have a fake jukebox musical. It's really something. We'll talk more about that later. But yeah, no, I mean also the
write
world
it so
ended.
that I can play it. Can I think I can facilitate the music on my instrument?
Definitely.
I need a gig, Keith. I need to perform.
Yeah. All right. Well, the show needs a gig first. But yeah, no, it's very guitar heavy. So it's the whole score is much more guitar than piano. So
ooh,
whatever. So there it is. Just saying.
Well, we lost our third listener.
Bye, Phoenix. Actually, you know what? Why don't we hear from our listener in a segment we call
Filings and Subpoenas.
Filings and Subpoenas.
Filings and Subpoenas.
Filings and Subpoenas.
Yes, indeed. So, of course, we heard, I'm going to start with the second comment because it's sort of appropriate to our discussion because he he called us out, a little bit of a spoiler alert, because he picked up on you saying, when we get into rating Star Trek. He said, wait, did Mike just give away the subject of the next podcast? Well, it's possible that Mike gave away some parts of some things. That might be part of our equation. It's not the only thing in our equation moving forward. So we have a fair amount in the docket as we move forward. So we will see.
I think it's important to point out, we had discussed when we started this experiment. Mm-hmm. Now, the initial experiment, if you go back and listen, I don't know, I'm pretty sure we discussed it in the pilot or thereabouts, but I can bring you back to the dinner I had with Keith, which is one of the last times I saw him in person. Still, that's not true, but it's kind of true.
I mean, I've seen you more than almost anybody else since the world ended. So
what we decided then was the only rules for the podcast were, or the experiment were, mm-hmm. that we were going to watch every episode of The Practice together, and then at the end, at the conclusion, rank the experience and have some sort of a final project, like it's 8th grade. And we are 23 episods from achieving that goal. Only missing, I think, 1 week officially for a holiday.
I think that's true. Well, I think only one unplanned week. Yeah, for sure.
So, but we've teased subsequently, we might stay in the David E. Kelly verse. We might do the Boston Legal. We might. Life, art, podcasts change, plans change. I don't know if we're going there anymore. We talked about Quantum Leap, other shows. There are options on the table that we haven't solidified about those things, but there are new things not in that pool of entertainments that I just discussed that are definitely going to happen at some point. And so I guess we still land undecided on Boston Legal, though I would say we're probably leaning towards not in this format, at least.
What? Yeah, I mean, we have to have our meeting about it. We're doing it live on the air, but yeah, I mean, let me put it this way: we've excluded nothing. Mm-hmm. We have some things that we're definitely going to do, but we haven't said no to anything yet. So we will have.
I'm going to last point before I let you continue.
Okay.
I can't remember. I believe it was definitely an email we got for a listener who is, I think, on season 4. I can't remember, but this is future me. By the time you get to this episode, listener, we will have completed this project. But as I've said mm-hmm. before, we often are self-deprecating and comment on our intimate listenership in real time. However,
that's a nice way of putting it.
There's a good chunk of you who are catching up in the Wayback Machine, and it's actually very heartening to see that is happening. And we are so excited for you to continue. We are so thankful to you, and I hope that you take this opportunity wherever you are in the pantheon of episodes of this, hours of us talking about this
I'm assuming
show.
If they're hearing this, they're in season 7, episode 22.
Keith, you don't know. They might jump. Anyway, make sure you check out the podcast and check out KME Entertainment on YouTube if you're watching this on YouTube or just listening, because we've got other things kicking. And we hope that you enjoy our weird delve into middle-agedness, if nothing else, and continue the journey of us talking to each other, because you have nothing better to do with yourself.
Yeah, well, it is the most well-documented descent into middle age that's ever happened. All right, so moving us forward, Mike waxes eloquent. We're getting wistful Mike.
Yeah,
I can understand it. The episode's called Goodbye, mm-hmm. but we're not ending. It's gonna be fine.
But Keith, guys, the second Keith said that
last episode, talking about Eugene and Jamie's
Keith, come back to us.
Relationship happening.
Yeah, that is absolutely heart crushing. We're not going anywhere. And then he hard froze and disappeared.
Are we still with us?
I don't want to cut the episode because that's just creates so much more work for me. But Let's see if he can come back. I'm just going to talk to you guys for a second. This is what you all really came for. Just me talking to myself. And it's, I don't know what to say. It's scary. But let's just look at Keith. Let's look. I got to say, as far as crazy screenshots for someone who froze in the middle of a meeting, this is one of the better ones. It looks pretty good, right? He's got a little bit of a smirk. He's got a coy charm to him. All right. This was fun, but I think we've got to do a little editing magic and bring Keith back now. And he's back. Look at that. It's magic.
And I'm back. Look at that. Oh my God. That was I think that was you. All right. So Phoenix was talking about last episode, talking about Eugene and Jamie's relationship. And he makes a very good point. He says, Eugene chose to hold back, putting Jamie ahead of his client. I won't get too deep into pathologizing the feelings that could develop from that situation. I'll just say that it can create an artificial feeling of intimacy. So her reaction is to be expected, but I have a problem with Eugene accepting her invitation to dinner. He is her boss. I agree with you. To the audience, it might not look like they have an employer-employee relationship, but in a larger firm, it would be much more obvious. Even in their small office, he trains her. He's had episodes where he mentored her, and as a partner, he has plenty to say over her future. So I really think Eugene would have had more sense than to date her. Very good point. And you point out that, of course, they should have an HR person at that firm, especially that firm. And he's right because of a little guy we know called Bobby Donnell.
I got a very big dick.
You know, the show might have been better off for like exploring, letting some of them have relationships off screen or outside of the office. Like after 7 seasons, it seems insane to me that Eleanor never got a boyfriend or was dating someone like off screen or not, that didn't work there, or literally anyone else. The only people we've ever dated are murderers or people who are terrible dirt people, or
that would be, yes, it would be interesting if they dated anybody not actively perpetrating a crime as they're dating.
Yeah, but TV.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, she dated the dentist who was doing some sort of a scam and a serial killer. So,
but
like,
then he got like a hero send off because he said, "I'm sorry, I did those dirtbag things," and he left.
Oh, that was like a third one. Yeah, no, she's dated a serial killer, a dentist forging medical records, and
I retract my comment. Maybe it's best
bag.
she just stay away from dating. She just stay single for a while. Work on her. Raise that baby.
Oh, poor Eleanor. Jeez. And poor Lindsay. I mean, all this, lots of problems. All right.
There won't be problems anymore after what Mike thinks is going to happen this week. Spoiler alert.
Oh, no. Okay, well, I'm excited about that. But before we do that, we have to hop back into the time machine and talk about, once again, May 5th, the year 2003, in a segment we call
This Day in the Basement.
April showers bring May TDITB.
Oh, okay. I was like, what the hell are you talking about?
I taxed every CPU core in my brain for that one.
It's like smoke coming out of your headphones.
We'll keep it brief, Keith. We talked about this last week, but I want to say something I remember fondly about my last first days in New York City is there's in the moment being destitute kind of sucked, but there are sort of rose-tinted glasses as you look back at some of the simpler things you used to do. Mm-hmm. I've talked already about the hot and crusty and how I owe them some dollars. So I should probably go back and pay them for sandwiches that I forgot to pay for at the time because of their silly way that they checked people out. Whereas they'd like give you the sandwich and then you were supposed to like go to a different counter in the back of the place and pay for it there. But like if you were broke and in college, sometimes you didn't.
If you're a criminal, you should have been dating Eleanor.
No, I'm going to make it right. Anyway, also, there was this place called Big Nick's on the Upper West Side of New York. It was Big Nick's burger and pizza joint. And they had 2 locations, one up by where I lived between 77th and 78th Street on Columbus, and then one on 73rd and Broadway. And they were the weirdest places because they had sort of no vibe as to what their sort of identity was as a place, but they were cheap. Super, super cheap. And if they weren't open, then you could also always count on the Gray's Papaya, which is a staple in New York. Big Nick's has subsequently closed. I believe in like 2003 they closed shop up because they got it. That's right, they got like a rent hike of like $40,000 per month because a lot of places on the West Side are just trying to push out old businesses. It's probably Nordstrom's now or something.
I'm sure it is, yeah.
But there was also a place that still exists in different corners in New York City. I believe 72nd Street location is still there. It's called the Gray's Papaya. If you don't know,
it is still there. Where it was last time I was there.
Gray's Papaya, you can get a smoothie and all kinds of different stuff there, but you can also still fetch yourself a 99-cent hot dog.
You sure can.
I don't know that you might want to do that, but if you find yourself short on change,
they're not bad.
I mean, as far as hot dogs go, yeah.
Yeah.
But you can always find yourself, if you're short on change in New York City, which is often the case because it's expensive to even visit.
New York City, right?
You can always find yourself a 99-cent hot dog at Gray's Papaya. And let me tell you, I lived on them for a few years of my life, including May 5th, 2003. Keith?
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I tell you, the number one thing I miss about New York City, other than like people and love and theater and
food,
art, it's dollar pizza. I love the dollar pizza, and there was one when our office was still in Midtown. There's one on like 38th and so like right at the bottom end of Times Square. Dollar pizza. I used to go in there twice a week and gorge myself on dollar pizza at the WeWork. So good.
Yeah, I just think, and look, I consider myself very privileged because I love my wife, and she's not just my wife. We're really good friends, and I love spending all of my time with her. This crazy past few years of pandemic, as much trauma as we will all have to kind of work through in the years coming, it's been an amazing chance to spend all of my time with the person I love the most, and like makes me laugh and just I love it. But I look back at a lot of those early years in New York as a time in my life that you won't get back, which is just hanging out with a group of people, a tribe of people that you've kind of collated, who've all made a crazy decision to go into a crazy business together. And you're just like everything about life is improvisation at that period of time, financially, artistically, everything. And you're just making it work, despite, in many cases, the sort of chagrin from your family system back home. And that I know that your family's a little bit more supportive. Mm-hmm. But regardless, you're still striking out. And that, everybody in college, I think, has those first few moments where that freedom and that excitement is something you really don't get back. So I look back at it, even though it was difficult, very fondly.
Yeah, no, and I wish that I had the experience that you did, because when I showed up, I was already out of college, and I wasn't going into a college environment. So I didn't have a circle of people who I was sort of trapped with immediately, with a common interest, and you know how they bond like that. I had my two roommates who were my best friends in college, and that was great, and that made it so much easier. But I felt pretty isolated the first couple of years, for all of those reasons, just trying to survive. And you're literally just trying to survive those first couple of years. And I think about how low my expenses were at that point. And still, I was just, my God, just eating, just making sure I could eat was like a thing. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot to that. I mean, the first couple of years in New York is just a grind. But we survived a combined 40-something years there. Mm-hmm. So we did it. So my This Day in the Basement, I think I teased last week, is pretty cool because it actually applies to this exact episode. I sent an email on May 6th, 2003, the next morning, to my college ex, and the subject header is the practice sniff. I said, "Did you see the last practice last night? I guess it's still up in the air if they're going to be canceled, but it seemed very much like a final episode last night."
So, series finale according to Keith, circa 2003.
Well, I mean, Keith said it exactly right. Like, we don't, it's still up in the air whether they're going to get canceled, but it certainly felt like a series finale. And but I know that my college girlfriend and I, we watched the practice together for a lot of college. And so that was, my thing was the practice, her thing was Ally McBeal. We would watch them every week, and that was like a thing that we did together. So it was appropriate that I would email her after having watched the last one. So clearly, I got out on my tube TV and watched it live on the air because there's no DVRs back then, and
Now or never.
HD existed at that point. In fact, these were broadcast in HD these last couple seasons. Hulu, what the hell? But I sure as hell didn't have an HD TV at that point. So
I didn't have a TV from 2002 until 2004. I watched zero television.
Wow, you must be so much psychologically healthier.
Oh, I'm making up for it now.
I know. Like, what happened to your brain? Like, you should have been doing so well. All right. Well, all right. So now we have talked a little bit about what's going on with us. We talked about it a lot last week, but we're going to do it again.
It's time for the Out of Practice Podcast's This Day in the World. The greatest hits, the biggest movies, headlines from Vermont, essential sports updates, and for some inexplicable reason, the weather from 20 years ago. Now back to Keith and Mike.
Okay. The Burlington Free Press continued talking about crowded CVU. We mentioned that last week. The top movie continued, surprising because it was only an hour later, continued to be X-Men 2, which took in $40 million. The top song continued to be Get Busy. Sean Paul's Get Busy. This is Robin Adele Anderson's. She has 660,000 subscribers. Good God, we have like 280.
But we don't cover songs like this.
And that's literally only because of Star Trek that we have any of those. All right, well, there it is. Now it's time for everybody's favorite segment in the entire world.
It's time for sports ball.
The New Jersey Hockey Devils won the Stanley Cup, beating the Mighty Ducks in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. Legendary goalie Martin Brodeur was great as always. For those of you non-hockey fans, yup, they did name an NHL team after the Disney movie. They've dropped the Mighty eventually and are now known just as the Ducks.
That's insane.
It is completely insane that an NHL team was named after the Disney movie. And their initial uniforms matched the uniforms from Mighty Ducks 1. And they had the same logo and everything. And, it certainly got a lot of attention. It came in the same year as the Sharks in Anaheim and San Jose. It was interesting. But there it is. That's what happened. Now it is time.
I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
It's time to talk about the damn episode. Okay, folks. The Practice Season 7, Episode 22, Goodbye, was written, of course, by David E. Kelley with Peter Blake, who last wrote on Manifest Necessity. Interesting that he teamed up with somebody for this episode. And directed by Michael Zinberg, who last directed Of Thee I Sing. Okay, Mike, this is a biggie. Let's hear it.
What is that supposed to mean?
What's your problem?
Is this what happens to women when you insert your penis?
What?
What does Mike think's gonna happen?
What if he would have drank the curdled milk? Then what would have happened?
Keith, at least one cast member dies this week.
Oh, snap.
I got my money on Bobby, but I think it could be someone else.
You think we're going to kill off Bobby Donnell?
At least.
At least.
Yes.
So how is it going to happen? How are we going to lose our cast member, possibly members?
I think my gut tells me maybe even Bobby and Lindsay decide to finalize their divorce or something and are murdered in some sort of a giant thing, and then the rest of the firm has to, like, murder she wrote that shit and figure out what happened. And Eleanor ends up taking on Bobby Jr.
Wow.
So Eleanor, she's doing.
Wow.
I mean,
Okay.
Alternatively, I could see Bobby being like, I have to get my shit together, so I'm moving to, like, San Jose. I only thought San Jose because you said the Sharks in Sports Bowl, so I think that just clouded my memory. But
Hey,
no, I
do
think
you know
at least,
the way to that association in Mike's head?
or maybe we kill a Jimmy or a maybe Lindsay.
God.
I mean, Lindsay would be the we know Bobby leaves the show only because I know that, but Lindsay could potentially get killed too. They've been so inconsistent with her character. She could be the one who gets the axe. But I'm sticking with. I'm keeping it simple. At least one main cast member is dead at the end of this episode.
Wow. Bloodthirsty Mike here. Wow. He wants blood.
I don't want it, but I'm gonna get it.
No, it seems like that's what you're going to get it. Well, I mean, this is the season of shark jumping. Why wouldn't the blood come from being eaten by a shark?
Well, because the sharks have already jumped and they're tired, Keith. So now they just want to feed. They've been jumping for weeks now.
Okay. Well, here it is, folks. If you would like to listen to us, listen to The Practice Season 7, Episode 22, Goodbye, hop over to your podcasting service of choice, and we will see you back here with the last oopsies of Season 7 on the YouTubes.
And we are back, baby.
Woo! Mike, we just turned the lights out. We have a lot to talk about.
Nobody died, but
we have a lot
I
of
do
emotions
feel like
to
it.
process.
Yeah.
But before we process all these emotions, why don't you remind us what happened in 2 segments, beginning with
2, 3, 4. Mike has 30 seconds to remember what just happened on the show. Segment.
Guys, Bobby comes out of nowhere and says, I'm out. And then everybody's like, why? And Rebecca finally gets to do a case with Jimmy, and they're like defending this guy whose this lover is dead, but it turns out she ain't dead. She's just been hiding in plain sight. And then, like, Rebecca reads them the riot act, but then they both kind of get away with it anyway. And then Bobby just, like, says he loves everybody and then, like, closes the door. And that's that.
Yeah. Do it again. Fewer syllables.
Bobby has to go. Fake a death to hide a bang. We all make choices.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We all do. And now it is time for us to choose to do a fake awards show before we wrap up season 7.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Out of Practice podcast, in unofficial, unsolicited, unfactual association with David E. Kelly Productions, proudly present
Oopsie.
The Oopsies! Celebrating excellence in acting good, lawyering good, guesting good, and being Tom Brady. Not to mention, this is where we rate the episode and stuff. Now, here are your hosts, Keith and Mike.
What the hell are the oopsies?
Well, Jackie, they're a fake awards show that this week will begin with...
Well, mean,
Yeah.
I guess it's fucking Columbo Rebecca, right?
Of course it is. Yeah. I mean, Rebecca was like on top of this the whole time. She was on her shit. She got it dead. She got sort of justice done. You know, she got her client off who actually didn't murder the lady.
Yeah, and she threw in sort of like a scolding to boot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And
like,
she really pissed off Schmitovich, which we really enjoy.
Which is delightful because, you know, that's always fun. So, I mean, there it is. Rebecca, you are the MVL of this episode. Coming up next, it's our last time to dance before the season. Oopsies. Already famous because you've been on TV, getting a paycheck. Or first entry on your IMDb. Forgot the choreography. Way to go. But you're the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor. You are the best guest actor on the episode.
Any reason why we were doing it so fast?
We were doing double time for
any reason?
season 7.
Oh, okay. Just cause?
Just, is there any answer to anything that we do that isn't cuz?
Hey, you know what? I want to give it this week to... Oh, that's not fair. I want to give it to Schmitty because, you know, he deserved the accolades, even though he wasn't a full-time... He was in the credits for a little while, wasn't he?
No, he never was. Never was.
Oh, well, he deserved to be. And he got to... Somehow he was able to act his way from, like, good character to, like, weird, evil villain back to, like, fun, funny character.
Right. That's right. He went from, like, typical DA to super villain antagonist to comedic relief.
Not everybody can thread that needle, Keith.
No, not everybody can. Yeah, okay. Well, I see that. I get that. I'm gonna give mine to Billy Campbell because he did a great job.
Yeah.
He had to be very sort of emotionally vulnerable to sort of lie truth his way through that, and I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, and actually one of the better twisty twists because I'm not gonna give her up. Like, even though he played that well and I could buy it, I felt stupid. Like, what a dumb choice. But
and then
the way
made sense.
Yeah, it made sense. That was like good.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk more about the twisty twist in the tires. But now it is time to move forward to... You killed your podiatrist or blew the case, but you let a single tear run down your face. You're the best actor on the show.
Guys, it's Dylan McDermott in if not his last episode. I mean, it would be weird to bring him back next season to then have him leave the show again. I don't understand. Like, although I would imagine maybe we see him as a guest next year. Like, it didn't kill him off or anything like that. And I know there's a season next season. I know there's a season 8, right? They get a full run. So, but I think this is probably his last time as a full credited actor on the series. It definitely felt that way. At least I would write that in my email to my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And you know, we got to see Dylan do what Dylan does, right? And it's not just flirt, which often we tease about. He really can bring the performance. And I think, you know, they gave him a tough choice in having to articulate feelings that he wasn't as a character even sure about. And yet it was totally grounded and totally believable. And even in that last beat with Lindsay, and I think his relationship with Lindsay has been the most uneven, especially this season. Really, just like, even in this episode, at one point it's super volatile, and then at the end there's this tenderness.
Although that made sense to me for that long.
Yeah.
But
absolutely. But I just mean, you know, when you're filming things asynchronously, it's not always easy to make it feel in the moment. And this did, especially the last 10 minutes. I really felt like Dylan did some of his best work. And the scene, even the little teeny bits with Eugene, just the hug and the handshake, the scene with Rebecca, which was brief. He didn't really have one with Eleanor, but they gave him a little moment in that boardroom scene. Anyway, I just, you know, any issues I've had with Bobby have been with the character of Bobby. They've never been with Dylan. And I think it's worth noting that despite some rocky ups and downs with the character arc. And there have been that for every character, but specifically Lindsay and Bobby. And I think Kelly Williams and Dylan have done just great work. There's no doubt in my mind why Dylan went on to have such a great career after this this opportunity. And I guess we're going to give him his maybe last oopsie here.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. I mean, it's obviously Dylan's episode, and he did a great job. I mean, it's such an abbreviated final arc for him. You know, if this is the end, then but at least it was addressed in his performance and in the writing of it. And, you know, I can certainly think of practical reasons why it was that way. But he did a great job.
Is it time to talk about like what was happening, or do you have a plan when you can talk to me?
I have a plan. We're not going to talk about it quite yet. But yes, Dylan wins.
So I shouldn't Google yet.
No, do not Google.
Okay.
Stay off the Google. Jesus.
It's been tough because I've been really curious.
I know. So congratulations, Dylan McDermott. It is time for another, you know, there is some
a lot of goodbyes.
There's some synchronicity happening here because it's official. Who else is closing down the office?
The Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady.
Keith, are we retiring the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you know, it would seem to make sense that Tom stuck around for longer than was welcome, and so did the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady. But, you know, we all, even the GOATs, have to hang it up at some point. Maybe. We'll see.
All right, so we'll see. But in the event that this is it, I'm gonna say the winner of the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady, potentially for the last time, is partner Brady. And what I would love to see, Keith, is Bobby and Tom, arm in arm, heading off into the sunset, opening their firm somewhere in the great beyond.
Nice. All right. Well, congratulations, partner Brady, riding off into the sunset with Dylan McDermott, wins the Tom Brady Award for being Tom Brady. All right, Mike, for the final time of season 7, it is time to hand out some.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce how many spare tires this episode gets.
You know, I feel a lot of ways because I liked the case quite a bit. I thought the cold case was interesting, turning out to not be a cold case. I thought it was infuriating for us and for the team as to why he wouldn't just like let us know where she was at. And I thought the twist was, at least it fooled me, and I thought it was pretty satisfying. So it was cool. So I thought that it was firing on all cylinders, and I thought it gave the case enough time because it clearly the episode clearly had another huge task in seeing Bobby out, and there's no way you can do that. I mean, he is at least as it began, the central figure of the series, and you're finding a way to write him out. Now, at the time, see, we have the luxury of knowing it's not the last season. You didn't, and I'm curious to hear about you in real time, because as a series finale, this would have been very unsatisfying to me. And it also would have been curious as to why they had such sort of like a straight case as part of it. Like I would have just probably, but it's not. So I'm not even going to speculate. I would say as an episode, if we're writing Dylan out, or if we're at least cliffhanging into season 8, if we're writing Dylan out, or what happens, that's a pretty good cliffhanger. It did have an air of finality to it, more than cliffhanger. So that's, I think, what would be confusing as a viewer. But as an episode, look, what this show has done when it's at its best is it doesn't always give you easy answers. It tackles complicated feelings and arcs, and this is complicated. And I think I actually enjoy that Bobby doesn't have a set plan. He just recognizes that he's becoming something he doesn't like, and that he's created something that he is afraid of or can't be a part of, even though he respects it and loves it, and he articulates that the best he can. And I understand even why he didn't want to articulate it up front. And I like that he is consistent with the Bobby character. He had to be led back to, you have to express your emotions. These people deserve it and have earned it. And he recognizes that. And that scene in the boardroom felt like the best of Bobby, and was satisfying emotionally, and it was impactful emotionally to me. I'll tell you what got me more than that was the flashback scenes, which is so crazy to say because we always hate the flashbacks in this show.
Right.
But this felt like a good use to see their youth, and where the origin of the Bobby Lindsay character was, and kind of where they started and where they are now, and whether or not it was right to kind of have them have a relationship as far as storytelling goes, that's something we can discuss when it's all said and done, but that's what happened, and it was a complicated tale, and this was a complicated tale, and I thought that this was handled really well. Enjoyment doesn't always supersede impact, and this emotionally impacted me because what I think David banked on, which was smart, is regardless of what was happening behind the scenes, viewers who are here, right, that made it to season 7, episode 22, have developed an affinity and a relationship with these characters that he could rely on to sort of take out the need for Bobby to have to explain his feelings, because we sort of were in his shoes, which was a unique place to be. And so we kind of understood in many ways. So they could use the shortcut of Bobby just saying to Rebecca, I'm not even going to begin to describe my feelings, because we know. We sort of have them too. So I thought there was a lot of... I liked that David was able to use... to nod to the viewers like us who kind of were along for the ride. Like I said, not satisfying per se, but that sort of symbolizes what the show is in many ways, which isn't where we were even a couple seasons ago. So that all said, I think this is one of the strongest episodes of the season, and I'm going to reward it. Maybe I'm bell curving it slightly, because I know we've been, even episodes we don't like, we haven't really been ranking very low. So I'm gonna give it a 9.35 spare tires to close her down.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Yes. All right. So I'm trying to figure out how to format my what I'm going to say here. First off, I agree with you. I think it's definitely one of the stronger episodes of this season. I agree with you that the case was fun. I mean, yes, it's twisty twist, but this feels like a good version of it, where it all sort of tracked to me. I wasn't ahead of it, which I appreciated, and it was well performed. I liked that Rebecca got her moment to sort of nail that. So that was fun. I was like, yeah, I liked that. And the Bobby of it all, I think it was emotionally satisfying if rushed. And I think it's rushed because they had not mapped out the end of the season to close out the series. Mm-hmm. The fact that they were on the bubble was sort of late breaking. So I don't think, I think like, oh shit, we might only have 2 episodes left. What do we do? So I imagine that there was some rewriting that happened to fit that in, time-wise. So
and they leave themselves space, right? So like in the event we are renewed, we can still use Dylan, right. And we can, just like they did with Kelly. She left the firm at one point. Or,
right, they didn't
Lindsay.
Kill everybody off.
Yeah,
that's right.
So
which you would have done, but you would have been just mad at the network, for moving them to Monday nights, and then of course their ratings dropped. Duh, what are you gonna do?
Football.
So those of you watching who know what's going on probably have to figure out, like, how's Keith gonna do this? And here is how I'm going to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to announce, without officially giving away whether or not there might be a cameo or two later. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a series wrap on Dylan McDermott. Thank you. Mike, do you have any final thoughts for Dylan?
A goddamn legend. Just a goddamn legend. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your work,
Thank you
Dylan.
for your work. Yeah, no, it's sad, but there it is.
Keith, I think you want to go the other way. You're completely obscuring Dylan's face.
You're right. Okay, sorry.
So,
I hate to do it. This is also a series wrap on Kyler Lee.
No! We barely knew you, Kyler.
That is, we never even got a final episode.
She didn't even puke once.
You didn't puke once. Ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry to announce this is a series wrap on Lara Flynn Boyle
No!
as Helen Gamble.
Oh no, I wasn't ready. You should have prepared me for this, man. I wasn't ready for this. Okay, all right.
So there it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to announce
No, there's more! Don't do it! Don't do it!
this is a series wrap on Marla Sokolov as Lucy Hatcher.
What are we doing? They can't all have jobs? I'm getting mad now. I went from okay.
This
all right.
is rough. This is rough.
The music's still playing. Don't you
Music is still
don't you
playing.
toy with me.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is a series wrap on Lisa Gay Hamilton.
God damn it. What are you doing? I thought we were just adding Spader. You kill everybody else is gone?
This is tough, man. This is really tough.
All right, well, okay. That was it. Well, you know what?
Ladies and gentlemen, I regret to announce this is a series wrap
Don't tell me. Don't you say it's no
on Kelly Williams.
Who's left?
I'm happy to announce that is the end of our series wraps. So, Michael, now let me just give you a moment to react to what just got announced.
I mean, I need to know all the drama next week. I mean, I guess I need to know what's going on because I don't get it. I don't even understand how you can do that. Like, that was a good write. I could understand, Dylan. You're right. That was a good write-off, or at least it made sense now. But like, they go off and have a drink. That's the last we see of fucking Lindsay. She doesn't come back to the firm. They invited her back.
That is a series wrap on Dylan McDermott, Kyler Lee, Lara Flynn Boyle, Marla Sokolov, Lisa Gay Hamilton, and Kelly Williams.
It actually makes the line where Lucy in the boardroom says, well, at least they invited me to the meeting, actually really funny in retrospect, and sad. And also, I mean, I guess Lisa Gay, they weren't using her well, and so she got a good case at the end, I guess. But what other DAs are there? Like, what's gonna happen? They gotta hire somebody.
So, of our original cast, next season, we're going to have Steve Harris, Cameron Manheim, and Michael Badalucco. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's like at the end of Avengers Endgame when they're like, okay, don't worry, the Avengers continue, but it's just all new people.
But they're all dead. So, yeah, I mean, I've been holding on to this for 7 seasons.
Everybody leaves at the end of season 7.
Yeah. Almost everybody leaves.
It's got to be contract stuff, right? I mean, clearly. They must take other gigs. Because they think the series is over?
No, it's budget.
It's the whole cast.
ABC came back after season 7, said, like, you're canceled, or you can continue at half of your budget.
So you write off the main characters?
That's where all the money is. All the money's going to the cast. It was a very expensive show cast-wise, and so the only way they could continue is to fire almost everybody.
So, I can't wait to talk about why they end up bringing Denny, like, because you bring in a huge name like Shatner at some point, but then you're like, but for a new series, but it's the same, but it's different.
Well, right. I'm not going to give anything away, but I can say that Shatner was never a main cast member of The Practice.
So it's sort of like just rebranding, right? They're like, well, we can't. The Practice was kind of fledgling in the ratings, but we can take what we've kind of got left and build a new show.
Well, they spun off. I mean, so after season 8, they spun off into a separate show.
Jen's like, what? Why was there drama in here? You'll find out tomorrow, honey.
Yeah, make her watch it.
Oof, I don't even know how I feel right now. It's Monday. I got to work after. I got a whole shit ton of stuff to do, and I feel like somebody just broke up with me.
Yeah. So I mean, it's
so
hard
next
to
season's
take.
Gonna be weird, man. Next season's gonna be weird.
It is gonna be weird. It's a huge. I mean, it's almost. Yeah, I mean, like it's really hard to wrap your head around, even 20-something years later. That is what happened here. At
this point, they don't know it then? Like when they're filming this, they don't know that's
I don't
about
think
to happen.
so. No, I don't think so.
Wow. So they probably think they're either out of job. Well, they probably think they're out of job anyway.
Right. But
wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that really took me for a loop.
Yeah. So holy shit, indeed.
So that really is ostensibly the end of The Practice as we know it. That was that.
Well, that is the end of as we have been familiar with it. Yes.
Well, you know what? Okay. It is what it is. I guess my haiku there is we all make choices.
Well, or we all have choices thrust upon us. Because I don't think David E. Kelley chose to have his budget slashed in half.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
All right, you got to give me a tire though, buddy.
Oh, right. I didn't give a tire. Oh, geez. Yeah. Yeah, I know, because it's just so overwhelming. Yeah. I liked it. I think they did a really good job considering the circumstances of what was going to happen. If they had known what was going to happen, I'm sure they would have done it very differently.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give it an 8.21 spare tires. Yeah. So, all right. Well, next week, obviously, there it is. The Riker tier. Yeah, so we'll be back next week with the season 7 Oopsie Spectacular before we dive into what's next. Mm-hmm. What's coming up for season 8. Gonna be different.
Yeah, that's fucking something, man.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, yeah. Mike's feeling the feels, which I understand because I felt the feels when I was watching this in real life. So, well, folks, if you would like to express your feels, you can reach out to us at outofpracticepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram at outofpracticepodcast. You can join the jury. The verdict is almost already in, but you can leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or any other service of your choice. Let us know, and we will happily read your comment and welcome you on the show. Speaking of people we welcome and are grateful for, our founding sponsors, Jorge Navoa, Cloud Lover 69, Leanne Wrights, Jennifer Masanova, and Kari Kuhn.
Hey, you can join them by giving us money, a one-time donation or a monthly contribution. We still got a season to go and lots of content to put on the internet for no one to watch or listen to. You can also tell a friend to check us out on the YouTubes or on the podcast listening service of your choice. You can also just tell people that we're funny. Just tell your mom. We really are just aiming for the mom demographic.
Yep.
You could send me some tissues, some condolences. My email address, emmadeglio@gmail.com. Listen, at the end of the day, they can fire everybody, but they can't get rid of us. So we'll see you next week with
We're not paid.
with a spoonful of laser sounds.
Laser sounds.